Omega Force has done what so many other developers have failed to do over the years: create a good tie-in game based on a television property. Attack on Titan: Wings of Freedom comes on the heels of the less than stellar Attack on Titan game that hit the 3DS not so long ago, so when news of a console game was announced, we were a bit skeptical. After playing through this retelling of the Attack on Titan anime, we can safely say that our fears were unfounded, as Wings of Freedom is a serious blast to play. We should be clear that Attack on Titan: Wings of Freedom is not a great game, but what it sets out to do, it does remarkably well. The game itself is based around the omnidirectional gear that the characters from the show employ to move around with startling speed and precision. Playing with an Xbox One controller on the PC, movement seemed like a daunting task, with so many things to remember and recall on a moment's notice. But after the few tutorials that mimic the training from the anime, things felt really comfortable. Everything just seems to make sense, even if on the surface it doesn't seem that way sometimes. But be warned that using a keyboard and mouse setup is nearly impossible, unless of course you're an octopus, so you'll need a gamepad for this one. The mobility gear lets you fly around stages much like Spider-Man, with a jetpack strapped to his rear end. It never gets old flying across the map, working to take down various forms of Titans that are all eating people and generally being complete tools. Luckily, the combat is also spot on, and is easy to pick up while requiring a little bit of skill to get right. The Titans themselves are massive beasts that can only be felled by slicing the nape of their neck just like in the show, so mobility here is key to success. You can lock on to various body parts of the Titan with your gear, and then boost your speed as your mobility gear retracts so that you slice with the most amount of power. It seems easy enough at first, but the Titans seem to know that you want their heads and will move and fight to stop you. This means that you'll sometimes have to target arms and legs to slice off so that you can have a better angle of attack on that sweet, sweet Titan nape. It all works incredibly well and is a blast to pull off every time an encounter happens. While you are a solo murder machine, you also have a team alongside you that you can direct in a limited capacity. You can tell them to focus on you, guard something, or go fancy free around you. It's not a very deep system, but they will contribute and even down a Titan if in a good position or directed to. There's nothing quite like seeing a half dozen of your allies darting across the screen, attacking a Titan, and actually doing some damage. But there is also benefit to not killing a Titan right out of the gate, as relieving them of their various body parts will earn you materials that can then be used to craft new blades, gas canisters, and more. While I'm not generally a fan of crafting systems, it does work well and gives the player something to do and something to work toward in between stages. The story here follows the anime pretty closely, or so far as I can tell, as I haven't seen the whole thing yet. The cutscenes are all really well done, and the sections between missions allow you to walk around, much like in an MMO, and talk to your fellow Titan Slayers, expanding on the events. The graphics here use a really nice cel-shaded style, and come about as close to an anime as possible in a 3D world. It's a pretty looking game for sure, but the environments themselves are pretty lacking, as they don't have that same style, and the whole world sort of just tends to look very generic. The sound here, on the other hand, is fantastic, with a sweeping score and epic musical hits that all work well together. There's also a lot of voice dialogue that happens as you play that it's really fun to experience. It's all done in Japanese, but the subtitles make you feel like you're watching the anime. When you're playing, it does feel like there's something always going on, which gives the game a really full feeling. All in all, Attack on Titan: Wings of Freedom is a marvelous game that will have you coming back for more, but it's not without a few problems that keep it from truly being great. The omnidirectional gear is a load of fun, but it's so good that the crafting system seems tacked on just to give you something to do. Simply buying upgrades is more than enough because you're going to get really good at working the controls, as each Titan counter is essentially the same. That in and of itself is another issue, as the game really begins to feel repetitive as time goes on. Sure, there's some really cool moments, like when you get to control a different character from the show, but aside from playing Eren in Titan form, they all sort of play the same with slightly different special abilities. I should also mention that the game features online co-op, so you can take Titans down together. But as I'm not very into this online mode, I didn't get a chance to check it out too deeply. What I did check out worked well enough, although some people on the forums on Steam did have connection issues that were addressed in the most recent patch. Still, this mode could really keep the game alive for a good chunk of time if support keeps coming. as the game is perfect for these sort of short missions with friends online. All in all, Attack on Titan Wings of Freedom is a wonderful experience in short bursts, and even better for someone new to the series as it fills you in quite well. The killing feels great, but a lot of the extra stuff just seems to be there to help extend the length of the game, instead of actually being helpful. Even on the hardest difficulty, you'll probably find the game to be fairly easy. The game is published by KOEI TECMO, and in a lot of ways it feels like their Dynasty Warrior series, in that it's a lot of great fun in small doses. If you're a fan of Attack on Titan, or just looking for some well-crafted, mindless fun, then Attack on Titan Wings of Freedom is right up your alley. For everyone else, you may want to wait for a price drop before jumping into this game.